Welcome back to our presentation. I'd like to welcome Dr. Shahrzad Sami, my personal mentor and family friend, to the stage to lead us in this beautiful class on poetry as an offering. Welcome, Dr. Shahrzad Sami.
Hi, beloved Serenity. It's so great to be with you and so great to be with all your wonderful friends and colleagues and students. I have a confession. This is my first meditation and poetry offering online. So I usually look at everyone and look at their faces and tune into their energy and allow that which is for the highest good to come forward. However, I will tune into the collective energy of all and see what comes. I decided when Serenity asked me to do a meditation talk, I wanted to offer the meditation as a way of getting into a deeper aspects of ourselves to get to know ourselves, to be aligned with who we are, to be aligned with what we have to offer to the world as our gifts, and to get a deeper insight in those dark moments of our soul that we go through, challenges. Right now, we're all going through a collective challenge as the global um, as the whole globe actually coming together in a way that even in my lifetime, I know many of you guys are much younger than me, but even in my lifetime, we've never experienced the challenge that we all go through it globally. And I see it as a blessing of really bringing it forward in how we can connect to that collective energy and how we can align ourselves with not just each other, but also our Mother Earth, with our plants, with our animals, with every living and supposedly non-living. Although I really believe that everything breathes its own way through life, rocks and even things that they don't breathe necessarily. They all leave an imprint in this beautiful world and with through us. So I wanted to use this opportunity to offer something that it's often forgotten, and that's the utilizing of poetry, getting to a deeper aspects of our soul. Serenity and I, we go way back. I know her as a very, very amazing, precious young girl, and we had an opportunity for her for a short brief of time for her to live with us. And I still remember the times that we would sit on our kitchen table, and through the poems we would guide her through some of the things that she was experiencing, new experiences and emotions and challenges and different things that it was coming up for her, and not necessarily telling her what to do, but actually allowing the poem to guide her through her own soul and give her answers. So today I want to start with this, with one of my very early poems that I started with as a way of guiding through life, what was important for me and what was important for the direction that I was taking, and as a guidance of what is actually my soul calling me to do. So it's called The Invitation. Some of you might have read it or heard it or even memorized it, but I wanted to bring that forward, especially at this time that we are going through all of our challenges and all of our ways, that the entire universe, it's more facing toward fear than love. And that's another thing. I think that every single situation that we come across, there's only one aspect to really look at. Am I moving forward with fear, or is this action from love? And that's my question that I ask myself every single day of my life. And if genuinely and authentically and in a very, very deeply resonating way, it's not from the fear and it's from love, I move forward. And if there is any fear at all that it's present in there, for me at least, it's not the right journey to take. Um, so looking through this, I want you to kind of close your eyes and just listen to this aspects of how we can move through our fears and what are some of the beautiful questions that we can ask ourselves. Because when challenges comes, it's really, really important to remember that what kind of questions we're asking ourselves. Some questions, they take us more toward the darkness. Why me? Why this is happening? Why this is, why did I get so unlucky? Why? Uh, and then there are beautiful questions, that we can ask ourselves, which is, why did I come to this place? What am I supposed to learn from this situation? How is the universe guiding me through this challenging journey of finding deeper and deeper of what my soul is longing and wanting to do, and to share my gifts through that with others, because every single one of you have a very, very, very unique gift to give to the world. It's not, there's no one in the universe that actually has that gift. Nobody. We might do the same things. We might talk about poetry. We might talk about yoga, but every single one of us have very, very unique things to offer. Always remember that, and make sure that you find your unique gifts, because this is the purpose of your existence. So, invitation. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened up by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wilderness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, be realistic, remember the limitation of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failures, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you still stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. I want you to know. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in those empty moments. This poem has so many beautiful parts that I think as the years go by, depending on where you are in your life, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. You can see when it's, for example, talking about, I want to know if you can live with failures, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. How often when we fail, we're so filled with resentment, with shame, with regrets, with judgments toward ourselves or toward others. And how often we measure the society's success as, who you should look up to or who you should be around with or all of those things. And yet, when you look at that, it's only through those moments that you can learn more and more where you belong. And you can learn more and more who you are in the deepest moments. If you don't fail, you'll never forget that. And you'll never know, a lot of people that they're going through life just tippy-toeing around everything and allowing themselves only to experience things that they are safe and guarantees that they're going to be successful and gives them a stamp that, like, yes, if you go through this, including your university experience, or anything else that you do in your life, there's absolutely no guarantee. But through the journey,
She might have popped off. We'll just wait for a moment. So it looks like Dr. Sami may have some technical difficulties. We'll see if she can jump back on. In the meantime, I'll put up a meditation for us all to sit with.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me again? Talking
Yes.
about the failure, and the internet fails me. So I apologize.
Your screen is tilted. It might mean just
Yeah, I had to change my position because somehow the internet was not working. And that is that better?
if you stop your video and then maybe start it again, it might fix that. Or if you're on an iPhone, you might need to swipe down to do the screen lock position.
Screen lock position.
There we go. Lovely.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So am I on again?
Yes. Please
Okay.
be our guest. Continue.
Well, as I talk about failure, my own internet fails, so I apologize. But I also wanted to talk to you about why actually I chose, if you look around, this is my daughter's first and second grade classrooms. You know, we decided to homeschool this year since all the schools are closed, at least in California, in Southern California. And the reason that I have a beautiful meditation room in here, but in my house, but I decided to do it here because so often that beautiful aspects of us in tuning and tuning into our inner child are that most vulnerable, most authentic, most excited and enthusiastic, fresh eye for everything, not boggled down by our own judgments, by our own self-criticism and the harshness that we bring into every time that we fail. That you can see it in children. I work with children on the most part in my practice, and it's just, especially before 5, it's just beautiful to see how free they are and how that aspects of their freedom and that self-explorations and that self expression, it actually brings forward so much magic, so much beauty in this world. If you actually watch a child, especially a young child, the way they love, the way they get so excited with things, and they might get really sad about things, but then 3 minutes later, there's no, they cry it out, they let it go, and then they have forgotten about it already. So these are some of the parts that I wanted to kind of bring forward. And that's why I wanted to do the talk from our guest house, which is a small first and second grade classroom right now. That just because I wanted to tune into that energy of innocence. So often people, they think that innocence, as we grow older, we need to get rid of our innocence. But how wonderful it would be to actually keep your innocence as you're gaining experience. I think the one example that I always fall back on is people like Dalai Lama or Thich Nhat Hanh, these amazing meditation and spiritual leaders, and there's a childlike quality in them. There is not this heaviness of I know it all and I have gone through everything and I have found all the answers, but there is a lightness about their being that it's so relevant and so important to keep. And when you have a poetic aspects where you bring your poetry into your meditation, where you bring something that it's as an intention, and then you open up a poetry book and see what kind of a message it has for you on that day when you're meditating. Or I actually see the yoga practice as part of the meditation, because your yoga practice is about just being present and in the moment. And that's what meditation is. It's for experiencing things just right now, nothing in the past, nothing in the future. So when you bring that meditation into that aspects of it, and the poetry kind of flows through in a very, very authentic and very very beautiful and not planned kind of a thing way, and you allow that inner child, that curiosity, that enthusiasm, that aspects of inner joy to actually be present, even in your darkest moment. I have experienced, even in my darkest moment, I have experienced this new insight that perhaps I got through just that one line of the poetry that I never got in all the talks that I heard, in all the books that I read, in all the ways, all the classes that I took. There was an insight about my soul, which I'm the most observant of it. I'm the most intimate, sacred friend with it, that nobody else knows. So that would bring forward so much more relevance, and it would reveal something to you that you haven't. The other aspects of it that has been so incredibly deepening for me, it has been that sometimes the poems, they actually take me back to my lineage, and the whole aspects of healing the trauma from the past lineage. Because a lot of us, we're choosing this moment to evolve our consciousness. We're choosing this minute of really saying yes to something different than fear, saying yes to that love. It's kind of far down, but the Love Button is a nonprofit organization that my husband and I have, that basically we decided love is the most important element in every single thing, whether it's in a friendship, in a parenting situation, in your relationship. And I'm not talking about the love as the romantic love only, but the kindness that binds us all together, that beautiful aspects that it can actually uplift you and allows you to be experiencing yourself, your oneness with the entire universe. That's the love that we are, and that's the one element that it's needed in every single situation around the globe. So when I do the meditation and I actually choose to sit with the intention of not just healing my own past wounds, because my past wounds oftentimes can also come from my generations before, just like the genetics of your eye color, your hair color, your skin tone, all of that comes from the generations before. Some of your trauma and your wounds also come from generations before. So part of what I have found in poetry is to actually go through a verse or something that it can actually align me in an intuitive way, in an organic way, with some aspects of myself or the generations before, that I can allow that healing to come forward. And I can allow that healing to come forward, not just for me, but for my past generation, as well as moving it forward to the future generation. So I don't pass it on to my children, because I never really looked at it and I never really dealt with it. There is always a way, when we're looking at poetry also, is to find poems that perhaps they make us feel better sometimes. That's like the shallow part of the poetry. Like you find things that it makes you feel better. But there are poems that actually takes you deeper into your dark night of the souls, into the nights that you feel not alone, but lonely. Being alone is very different than lonely. And also, it makes the darkness just as sacred as the light. It makes the dark night of the soul just as much as important of your journey as all the joy and the happiness. So you don't rush through it. You actually use it as a way of deepening getting to know yourself and bringing more self-compassion and bringing more self-love and bringing more self-nurturing and allowing yourself to be seen and heard and vulnerable in a way that that it takes you into a deeper aspects of who you are as a human. So these are some of the things that I had kind of in mind, or at least I tune in into what would be of service. And I never do my talks based on an agenda from before. As I said, I usually tune into people and I see that what's needed. You know, I heavily rely on my intuition, especially as a woman. I think it is an incredible tool that we have as women and men also, but they need to also develop it. We all need to develop it, actually. But I tune in and I bring that forward. And I thought that this would be something that, especially as we're going through collectively as a globe, in a time very challenging, very turbulent time, very times that people are, because there's just so much lack of clarity and uncertainty present in the world, and human beings, they don't do so well with uncertainty and lack of clarity. It can probably would be really beneficial in terms of bringing hope and bringing intuition and bringing what are some of the blessings that we're seeing in our time. You know, one of them is this, the fact that so many of you have been able to join on a yoga day and learn all of these things, and we're all connected, you know, through this thing called internet, which sometimes fails us, but at least it brings us all together, and our hearts and our souls and our collective consciousness in a way that that just cultivates that love. And with that, I'm absolutely certain that we will have a very, very different future, if we choose to, than the way that we went about things in the past, which was really, really rushing through everything and just getting to the next thing. And this whole situation created a pause for us to have a yoga day, a pause for us to have an opportunity to be of service, hopefully, as my intention has been for today. So much love to all of you guys, and I hope you have a blessed day for the rest of your day. And I hope you always tune into the poetry as part of revealing something deeper in your soul. And remember that, as Rumi always says, you are not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in one drop. So don't ever forget that. Namaste.